In the last episode, the remnants of humanity were on the brink of collapse, struggling to survive in a world ravaged by environmental disaster and societal collapse. A glimmer of hope emerged in the form of Ambrose Wynter, a brilliant and charismatic entrepreneur who had a vision to forge a new future. The air was thick with the acrid smell of smoke and ash as I stood on the outskirts of New Eden, gazing out at the desolate wasteland that was once a thriving metropolis. The skeletal remains of skyscrapers pierced the sky like jagged teeth, a grim reminder of what we had lost. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility settle onto my shoulders. The journey to this point had been long and arduous, but I knew that the real challenge was only just beginning. As I walked back into the makeshift camp, I was greeted by the familiar sight of makeshift shelters and the hum of activity. Our people were resilient, resourceful, and determined to survive. I spotted Maya, my trusted second-in-command, coordinating with a group of engineers to repair a damaged generator. I approached her, my boots kicking up clouds of dust. Maya looked up, her eyes locking onto mine with a mixture of concern and determination. "Ambrose, we've got a problem. The scouting party we sent to investigate the old tech hub hasn't reported back." I frowned, a sense of unease growing in my chest. "Get a team together. Maya, we need to find out what's going on." As I spoke, a young girl approached us, her eyes wide with excitement. "Mr. Wynter, I've been going over the old databases, and I think I found something that could help us." I crouched down beside her, intrigued. "What is it, kiddo?" She hesitated, then pulled up a holographic display on her comms device. "It's a schematic for an advanced desalination plant. If we can build it, we could provide clean water for the entire camp." I exchanged a look with Maya, and we nodded in unison. "Let's get to work." The days that followed were a blur of activity as we worked tirelessly to build the desalination plant. It was a massive undertaking, but with the help of our new allies, the Kyrene, a technologically advanced species with a passion for engineering, we managed to get it up and running. The impact was almost immediate. Clean water began to flow, and the health of our people began to improve. Morale soared, and for the first time in years I saw a glimmer of hope in the eyes of our people. But as we celebrated this small victory, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. I made a mental note to increase our security measures, to be prepared for any eventuality. As night began to fall, I stood on the outskirts of the camp, gazing out at the stars. The galaxy was full of mysteries, full of wonders and dangers waiting to be discovered. I felt a thrill of excitement coursing through my veins. We were on the cusp of something new, something big. And then, just as I was about to head back to my quarters, the comms device on my wrist beeped. "Ambrose Wynter, this is an encrypted transmission from an unknown source." I hesitated for a moment, then accepted the transmission. "This is Ambrose Wynter. Who is this?" The voice on the other end was distorted, but the words sent a chill down my spine. "Ambrose Wynter, you're a lot more interesting to us than we thought. Meet us on the planet Zorvath if you want to discuss the future of humanity." The transmission ended, leaving me with more questions than answers. Who was behind this message, and what did they want from me? I looked up at the stars, a sense of trepidation growing in my chest. The journey ahead would be fraught with danger, but I was ready. For humanity, for our future, I would face whatever challenges came our way. I turned to Maya, who was watching me with concern. "It seems we've got a decision to make. What do you think we should do?" She hesitated, then nodded. "We should go." I nodded, a plan beginning to form in my mind. "All right, let's get to work. We have a meeting to attend." The darkness of the night seemed to press in around me, but I stood tall, my eyes fixed on the stars. The unknown was out there waiting for us, and I was ready to face it head-on as I walked through the camp. The sound of hushed conversations and nervous laughter followed me. The gravity of the situation was palpable, and I knew that every decision I made would have far-reaching consequences. Maya fell into step beside me, her eyes scanning the perimeter of the camp as we walked. "What's the plan, Ambrose?" she asked, her voice low and even. I considered my response, weighing the risks and benefits of each option. We'll need to assemble a team, people we can trust with our lives. We'll take a small group to Zorvath, keep a low profile and see what this mysterious message is all about. Maya nodded, her expression grim. I'll select the team. Who do you want to take? I thought for a moment before responding. Take Lyra, Jax, and Dr. Patel. They're the best we have and we'll need their expertise to navigate whatever situation we find ourselves in. Maya nodded, already mentally preparing the team. I'll get them ready. What about our allies? The Kyrene. I hesitated, weighing the risks of involving our new friends. Let's keep this quiet for now. We don't know what's waiting for us on Zorvath, and I don't want to put our allies in harm's way unnecessarily. Maya nodded, understanding the unspoken risks. Got it. What's the timeline? We leave at dawn, I replied, already mentally preparing myself for the journey ahead. The night was short and the darkness seemed to press in around us as we prepared to depart. I walked through the camp, shaking hands and offering words of encouragement to those who remained behind. As I boarded the ship, my heart raced with anticipation. What lay ahead, waiting for us on Zorvath? I glanced around at my team, their faces set with determination. Let's do this, I said, settling into the pilot's seat. The engines roared to life and we lifted off into the unknown. The journey was long, the stars flashing by like diamonds against the blackness of space. I remained vigilant, scanning the horizon for any signs of danger. As we approached Zorvath, my instincts began to scream warnings. Something was off, but I couldn't quite put my finger on what it was. Lyra, can you scan the planet's surface? I asked, my voice tight with tension. She worked her magic and a holographic display flickered to life in front of us. I leaned forward, my eyes scanning the image. What am I looking at? I asked, my mind racing with possibilities. Lyra's voice was hesitant. It looks like some kind of abandoned research facility. There's no signs of life, but there's something strange. I felt a shiver run down my spine. What is it? I'm not sure, but it looks like some kind of energy signature. It's unlike anything I've seen before. I exchanged a look with Maya, her eyes narrowing with concern. This was getting stranger by the minute. Let's find out what's going on, I said, my jaw set with determination. The ship landed with a soft thud and we disembarked, our weapons at the ready. The air was heavy with an eerie silence and I couldn't shake the feeling that we were walking into a trap. As we approached the research facility, the energy signature grew stronger, pulsating with an otherworldly power. I raised a hand, signaling my team to halt. What is this? I breathed, my eyes fixed on the glowing portal in front of us. Maya's voice was barely audible. I think we're about to find out. We stood frozen, our eyes fixed on the shimmering portal. The energy emanating from it was palpable and I could feel the hairs on the back of my neck standing on end. Lyra's eyes were fixed on her scanner, her brow furrowed in concentration. It's some kind of gateway, she whispered. I'm reading energy patterns that are off the charts. I took a deep breath, my mind racing with possibilities. This could be the key to unlocking the secrets of the mysterious message, or it could be a deadly trap. All right, let's move in, I said, my voice low and even. Stay sharp and watch each other's backs. We moved cautiously, our weapons at the ready. The portal pulsed with an otherworldly energy, and I could feel its power coursing through my veins. As we stepped through the gateway, the world around us dissolved into a swirling vortex of color and light. I stumbled, my senses reeling from the sudden disorientation. Maya's hand grasped my arm, steadying me as we emerged on the other side. We found ourselves in a vast, dimly lit chamber. The walls were lined with rows of consoles, humming with energy. At the far end of the room, a figure stood alone, its back to us. "Who are you?" I called out, my voice echoing off the walls. The figure slowly turned, its features illuminated by the soft glow of the consoles. I felt a jolt of shock, my mind reeling with the implications. It was a human, but not like any I had ever seen. Its skin was deathly pale, its eyes sunken and dark. It regarded us with a cold, calculating gaze, and I knew instinctively that we were in grave danger. "Welcome, Ambrose Wynter," it said, its voice like ice. "I've been waiting for you." I took a step forward, my heart pounding in my chest. "What do you want?" The figure smiled, its lips curling upward in a gesture that sent shivers down my spine. "I want to show you the true power of the universe," it said, its eyes glinting with madness. "And you, Ambrose Wynter, are the key to unlocking it." Suddenly, the consoles around us erupted into a flurry of activity, screens flashing with data and energy signatures. The figure raised its hand and the room was bathed in a blinding light. As the light faded, I saw that we were surrounded. Rows of towering robots stood at attention, their eyes fixed on us with cold, mechanical precision. "I think it's time we got out of here," Maya whispered, her voice tight with tension. I nodded, my mind racing with strategies. We had to get out and fast. But as I turned to make our escape, I realized that we were trapped. The portal behind us was gone, replaced by a solid wall of cold gray steel. "We're not going anywhere," the figure said, its voice dripping with malice. "You're going to help me unlock the secrets of the universe. And if you refuse, well, let's just say you won't be leaving this planet alive." I took a deep breath, my mind racing with calculations. We were trapped and our only hope was to stall for time. I forced a confident smile onto my face, trying to appear nonchalant despite the danger that lurked around every corner. "I'm intrigued," I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "What makes you think I'm the key to unlocking the secrets of the universe?" The figure's gaze narrowed, its eyes flashing with anger. "You're the only human who's managed to unite the species," it spat. "You have a unique perspective, and with my technology we can take humanity to the next level." I raised an eyebrow, feigning skepticism. "I'm flattered, but I think you're overestimating my abilities. I'm just a businessman, not a scientist." The figure chuckled, the sound sending shivers down my spine. "Oh no, Ambrose, you're so much more than that. You have a natural talent for manipulation, for getting people to do what you want, and that's exactly what I need." I shrugged, trying to appear nonchalant. "I suppose I do have my ways, but I'm not sure I'm interested in helping you. What's in it for me?" The figure's smile grew wider, its eyes glinting with madness. "I can give you the universe, Ambrose. Literally, I can show you the secrets of the cosmos, unlock the mysteries of time and space. And in return, all you have to do is help me." I raised an eyebrow, my mind racing with the implications. This figure was offering me the ultimate prize, the thing I'd been searching for my entire life. But at what cost? "I'm listening," I said, my voice cautious, "but I need to know more. What exactly do you want me to do?" The figure leaned forward, its eyes burning with intensity. "I want you to help me unlock the secrets of the Ancient Ones," it whispered. "The beings who created the universe, who hold the power of creation in their hands. And with that power, we can reshape the cosmos in our image." I felt a shiver run down my spine as I realized the true extent of the figure's ambition. This was no longer about humanity's survival. This was about remaking the universe itself. And I was the key to making it happen. Suddenly, Lyra's scanner beeped, a shrill sound that cut through the tension. "Ambrose, I'm reading an energy signature," she whispered urgently. "It's coming from outside the room." I turned to face her, my heart pounding in my chest. This could be our only chance to escape. But as I looked back at the figure, I knew that we were running out of time. Fast my mind raced as I processed the new information, my eyes locked on Lyra's scanner as it continued to beep incessantly. The energy signature was getting stronger by the second, and I knew we had to act fast. "Excuse me," I said, my voice smooth as silk, trying to appear nonchalant despite the growing sense of urgency. "It seems we have an unexpected guest. Perhaps we should discuss this further at a later time." The figure's gaze narrowed, its eyes flashing with anger. "You think you can escape that easily, Ambrose? You think you can outsmart me?" I forced a confident smile onto my face, trying to appear unruffled. "Oh no, I'm not trying to escape. I'm simply being cautious. After all, I'm a businessman, not a warrior." The figure's expression didn't change, but I sensed a flicker of uncertainty. It didn't know what to make of me, and that gave me an edge. "I'll let you think about my proposal," it said finally, its voice dripping with menace. "But don't think you can outsmart me, Ambrose. I'll be watching you, waiting for you to make your move." With that, the The figure vanished, leaving us alone in the dimly lit room. I let out a deep breath, my heart still racing from the encounter. "Lyra, can you track the energy signature?" I asked, my voice low and urgent. "Yes, Ambrose," she replied, her fingers flying across the scanner's console. "It's coming from outside the complex. I think it might be a rescue team." I felt a surge of hope, my mind racing with possibilities. This could be our only chance to escape, to regroup and come up with a new plan. "Let's move," I said, my voice firm. "We need to get out of here now." Lyra nodded, her eyes locked on the scanner as she led the way out of the room. We moved quickly, our footsteps echoing through the empty corridors. I could feel the tension building, the sense of urgency growing with every step. As we burst out into the bright sunlight, I saw a team of heavily armed guards waiting for us, their weapons trained on us. I raised my hands, a smile plastered on my face. "Thank you for coming to our rescue," I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. We were just having a lovely conversation with our host. The guards didn't flinch, their expressions stern. "Ambrose Wynter, you're under arrest for crimes against the Galactic Council." I raised an eyebrow, my mind racing with possibilities. This was not what I had expected. But as I looked at Lyra, I knew we had to keep moving, to keep fighting. We were not going to give up, not yet. "Take us away," I said, my voice firm. "I'm ready to face whatever charges they have against me." The guards nodded, their grip on us tightening as they led us away from the complex. I cast a glance back at the building, my mind racing with the secrets it held. I would be back, I vowed to myself. And next time, I would be ready. As we were led away, the bright sunlight gave way to the dark, damp interior of a sleek transport ship. I couldn't help but wonder where we were headed, what lay in store for us. Lyra's hand brushed against mine, a fleeting gesture of reassurance. "Remember, Ambrose," she whispered, her voice barely audible above the hum of the engines, "we have allies waiting for us. We just need to stay calm, play it smart." I nodded, my eyes scanning our surroundings, taking in the cold, sterile environment. The guards were watching us, their gazes unwavering, but I sensed a hint of uncertainty beneath their professional facade. As the ship lifted off, I felt a familiar rush of adrenaline coursing through my veins. This was it, our chance to escape, to outmaneuver our captors. I leaned in close to Lyra, my voice barely above a whisper. "The moment we're given a chance, we take it. We don't wait for permission, we don't ask questions. We make our move and we make it count." Lyra's eyes locked onto mine, a spark of determination igniting within them. She nodded, a barely perceptible movement, but it was enough. The ship journeyed on, the silence between us thick with tension. I knew we were being watched, monitored, but I didn't care. I was Ambrose Wynter, the master of the game. I would play it to the end and I would emerge victorious. The ship landed with a jolt, the engines dying down as we were escorted off the vessel. We stood in a dimly lit hangar, the air thick with the smell of fuel and machinery. A figure emerged from the shadows, flanked by two burly guards. "Ambrose Wynter," the figure said, its voice dripping with contempt. "You're a hard man to catch, but we finally got you." I smiled, my eyes locked onto the figure. "Counselor Arcturus," I said, my voice smooth as silk. "I didn't expect to see you here." "How?" "Flattering." Counselor Arcturus sneered, its expression twisted in a mixture of anger and frustration. "You're a menace, Ambrose. You think you're above the law, above the Council's authority, but you're not. You're just a foolish human who thinks he can outsmart the galaxy." I chuckled, the sound echoing off the hangar walls. "Foolish," I repeated. "I think you'll find, Counselor, that I'm rather more cunning than that." The guards grabbed me, their grip tightening as they led me away from Lyra. I cast a glance back at her, a reassuring smile on my face. We would get through this, I vowed to myself. We would emerge stronger, more resilient than ever. As I was dragged deeper into the heart of the Galactic Council's stronghold, I knew I was walking into the lion's den. But I was Ambrose Wynter, the architect of humanity's rise to power. I would not be intimidated. I would not be defeated. I would rise above, no matter the cost. The corridors twisted and turned, a labyrinthine path that led me deeper into the Council's stronghold. I kept my eyes fixed on the guards, my mind racing with strategies, possibilities. Lyra's absence gnawed at me, a constant reminder of the stakes. Counselor Arcturus led the procession, its pace brisk and purposeful. We passed through layers of security, each checkpoint a testament to the Council's paranoia. I didn't blame them, they had every reason to fear me. The counselor finally halted before a set of imposing doors, adorned with the emblem of the Galactic Council. A soft hiss and the doors slid open, revealing a dimly lit chamber. The air inside was heavy with anticipation. Ambrose Wynter, you stand accused of treason against the Galactic Council, Counselor Arcturus declared, its voice echoing off the cold stone walls. You will face the full weight of our justice. I smiled, my confidence unwavering. Shaking with fear, Counselor. The guards dragged me forward, positioning me before a raised dais. The counselors sat arrayed before me, their faces a mask of severity. I recognized a few of them: Counselor Orion, Counselor Cygnus, but most were strangers. Let us proceed, Counselor Arcturus intoned, its eyes fixed on me. Present your evidence, Counselor Orion. The older counselor nodded, its eyes flicking to a data pad in its hand. Ambrose Wynter, you have been accused of— I know the charges, I interrupted, my voice firm. I'm not here to listen to a recitation of my supposed crimes. I'm here to clear my name. Counselor Arcturus' smile was cold, calculated. You will have your chance, Ambrose. But for now, let us hear the evidence against you. I shrugged, a careless gesture. Proceed then. I'm fascinated to hear what fantasies you've constructed against me. Counselor Orion began to speak, its words a litany of accusations: treason, sabotage, manipulation. I listened, my expression attentive as the counselors presented their case against me. Lyra's words echoed in my mind: stay calm, play it smart, but it was growing harder to maintain my composure. The evidence mounted, a damning pile of circumstantial proof and hearsay. I knew the council was grasping at straws, desperate to justify their own failures. But the more they spoke, the more I realized the true extent of their treachery. Counselor Arcturus leaned forward, its eyes gleaming with satisfaction. And so, Ambrose Wynter, we come to the crux of the matter. Your guilt is undeniable. Your punishment will be severe. I smiled, a cold, calculated smile. I think you'll find, Counselor, that I'm not so easily defeated. The chamber fell silent, the only sound the soft hum of the environmental systems. I knew the game was far from over. It was time to make my move, to unleash the full fury of my cunning and charisma. The question was, what would I do first? I let my gaze sweep the chamber, meeting the eyes of each counselor. I knew every trick in the book, every nuanced expression, every calculated pause. It was time to play the role of a lifetime. I'd like to call a witness, I said, my voice smooth as silk. Counselor Arcturus raised an eyebrow. A witness? You have no rights, Ambrose. You're not even a citizen of the Galactic Council. I chuckled, a low, menacing sound. Ah, but I think you'll find I have. Friends, shall we say, who will vouch for my character. The counselor's eyes narrowed, but I could see the faintest glimmer of curiosity. Very well, Ambrose, but be warned, this is a futile attempt to delay your inevitable punishment. I smiled, a cold, triumphant smile. I'm shaking with fear, Counselor. With a flick of my wrist, the doors behind me slid open and a figure emerged from the shadows. The chamber fell silent, as if the very fabric of time had frozen. Lyra, I said, my voice low, husky, thank you for joining us. Her eyes locked onto mine, a fierce, unyielding gaze. Ambrose, she whispered, her voice like a promise of retribution. The counselors shifted uncomfortably, their masks of severity beginning to slip. I knew I had them right where I wanted them. It was time to unleash the full fury of my cunning, to weave a web of deceit and misdirection that would leave them reeling. Lyra moved to stand beside me, her presence a palpable force in the chamber. I knew the counselors thought they had the upper hand, but they were wrong. I had the one thing they didn't: hope. And with Lyra by my side, I would stop at nothing to forge a new destiny for humanity. The game was afoot, and I was ready to take the stage. The question was, What would I do first? Counselor Arcturus' eyes darted between Lyra and me, his expression a mask of skepticism. So, you've managed to dredge up a sympathizer from the depths of the galaxy, he sneered. What makes you think this? Being has any relevance to your case, Ambrose? I smiled, a slow, calculated smile. Lyra here is a former member of the Aurora Initiative, I said, watching as the counselors exchanged uneasy glances. She has first-hand experience with the atrocities committed by the Galactic Council, and she's willing to testify on humanity's behalf. Lyra's eyes never left mine, her gaze a burning intensity. I knew she was ready to unleash her fury upon the Council, to bare her soul and tell the tale of her people's suffering. I could feel the weight of her anger, a palpable force that seemed to vibrate through the air. Counselor Orion's lips curled into a snarl. You think the testimony of a rogue agent will sway our decision? He spat. We've seen the devastation humanity has wrought upon the galaxy. You are a plague, Ambrose, and it's time you were held accountable. I chuckled, a cold, mirthless sound. Oh, but you're mistaken, Counselor, I said, my voice dripping with condescension. Lyra's testimony is merely the beginning. I have evidence, documentation, and witnesses that will shred your precious Galactic Council to ribbons. The chamber fell silent once more, the counselors' faces slack with shock. I knew I had them on the back foot, and it was time to press my advantage. I propose a deal, I said, my voice smooth as silk. Allow humanity to establish a sovereign nation within the Galactic Council, and in return, I'll provide you with the proof you need to bring the true culprits to justice. Counselor Arcturus' eyes narrowed, his gaze piercing. What do you mean, Ambrose? He asked, his voice laced with suspicion. I smiled again, a calculated smile. I mean that humanity is not the monster you've made us out to be, I said. We're not the destroyers of worlds, the brutal oppressors. We're the victims, Counselor, and I have the evidence to prove it. Lyra's eyes locked onto mine, a fierce, unyielding gaze. I knew she was ready to take the stand to tell her tale of suffering and betrayal. I knew the counselors were on the brink of collapse, their fragile alliance fraying at the seams. The game was afoot, and I was ready to take the stage. The question was, what would I do first? Counselor Orion's face turned a deep shade of crimson as he slapped his palm on the console, the sound echoing through the chamber. You expect us to believe that humanity is innocent, he thundered. That we're the aggressors. I leaned forward, my eyes locked on the counselor. Not innocent, Counselor, I said, my tone measured. But certainly not the monsters you've portrayed us to be. We've made mistakes, yes, but we've also been manipulated, exploited, and deceived. Lyra's gaze never wavered, her focus fixed on the counselors. I could sense her fury, her desire to unleash a torrent of anger and pain upon the Galactic Council. Counselor Arcturus' expression turned calculating, his eyes darting between Lyra and me. Go on, Ambrose, he said, his voice laced with skepticism. Tell us more about this. Evidence you claim to possess. I smiled, a slow, deliberate smile. Very well, Counselor, I said, my voice dripping with confidence. But first, I require a guarantee of safe passage for my people and a commitment to a fair and impartial trial. Counselor Orion snorted, his derision palpable. You think you're in a position to negotiate, Ambrose? He sneered. I leaned back in my chair, my eyes never leaving the counselor. I think I have the upper hand, Counselor, I said, my tone cold, calculated. I think I have the one thing that can bring the Galactic Council to its knees. The chamber fell silent once more, the counselors' faces etched with unease. I knew I had them on the ropes, and it was time to strike. Lyra, tell them, I said, my voice low, urgent. Tell them about the Aurora Initiative, about the horrors we've uncovered. Lyra's eyes flashed with anger, her gaze burning with a fierce intensity. I knew she was ready to unleash her fury upon the council, to bare her soul and tell the tale of her people's suffering. I was a part of the Aurora Initiative. Lyra began, her voice low, husky. I saw the atrocities they committed, the worlds they destroyed, the civilizations they eradicated. The counselors' faces turned pale, their eyes wide with shock. I knew Lyra's words had struck a chord, that she had awakened a sense of doubt, of uncertainty. And who was behind the Aurora Initiative? I asked, my voice soft, prompting. Lyra's gaze locked onto mine, a fierce, unyielding gaze. The Galactic Council, she spat, her words dripping with venom. They funded, they armed, and they directed the initiative. They're the ones responsible for the devastation, not humanity. The chamber fell silent once more, the counselors' faces slack with shock. I knew I had them, that Lyra's words had sealed their fate. Counselor Arcturus' eyes darted between Lyra and me, his expression a mask of defeat. "I think we've heard enough, Ambrose," he said, his voice laced with resignation. "We'll need time to deliberate, to discuss the implications of your evidence." I smiled, a cold, calculated smile. "Take all the time you need, Counselor," I said, my voice dripping with confidence. "But know this, humanity will not be silenced. We will not be oppressed. We will rise, and we will take our rightful place among the stars." As I stood, Lyra by my side, the counselors' faces seemed to blur, their features indistinct. I knew I had won, that humanity had finally found its voice. But I also knew that this was only the beginning, that the true battle was yet to come. As we exited the chamber, the cool, sterile air of the council's corridor enveloped us, a stark contrast to the heated emotions that had filled the room. Lyra's hand brushed against mine, a subtle gesture of solidarity, and I felt a surge of gratitude towards her. We walked in silence, our footsteps echoing off the polished walls, until we reached the secure communication room where our allies waited. The door slid open with a soft hiss, and we stepped inside, surrounded by the familiar faces of our loyal companions. "Did it work?" Dr. Zhang asked, her eyes shining with excitement. I nodded, a slow, deliberate smile spreading across my face. "It worked." Thayer reeling, trying to process the implications of our evidence. Kale's eyes lit up with a fierce intensity. "What's the next step, Ambrose?" I leaned back against the console, my mind racing with strategy. "We need to prepare for the Council's counterattack. They won't take this lying down. We need to be ready to defend ourselves, to prove that we're not just a fledgling empire but a force to be reckoned with." Riven's face darkened, her voice laced with concern. "We can't underestimate the Council's resources, Ambrose. They have entire fleets at their disposal." I nodded, my jaw set in determination. "I know, Riven, but we have something they don't: our conviction, our passion, and our willingness to fight for what's right. We'll use every trick in the book, every alliance we've forged to take them down." The room fell silent, my companions' faces etched with determination. I knew we had a long, brutal road ahead of us, but I also knew that we were ready. We were a team, a family, united in our quest for justice and freedom. As we dispersed, each member of our team taking on their assigned tasks, I caught Lyra's gaze, her eyes burning with an unspoken message. I nodded, understanding. We had one more card to play, one more secret to reveal. I made my way to the secure terminal, my heart pounding with anticipation. It was time to uncover the truth, to expose the Council's darkest secrets. I took a deep breath, my fingers flying across the console as I accessed the encrypted files. The data unfolded before me like a tapestry of deceit, a web of lies and corruption that went far beyond the Aurora Initiative. I felt a cold, calculating anger building inside me, a fury that would drive me forward, that would fuel my determination to bring the Council to its knees. As I delved deeper into the files, a name kept repeating itself, a name that sent a chill down my spine. Archon Xandros, the enigmatic figure behind the Aurora Initiative, was just the tip of the iceberg. There was someone else, someone who had orchestrated the chaos from the shadows. I felt a presence behind me and turned to face Lyra, her eyes blazing with a fierce intensity. "You know, don't you?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I nodded, my jaw clenched in anger. "I know, Lyra. And soon, the entire galaxy will know." The air seemed to vibrate with tension as I turned back to the console, my eyes scanning the data with renewed urgency. Lyra stepped closer, her hand hovering above my shoulder, a silent gesture of support. The name kept appearing like a refrain in a dark melody. Erebus Blackwood, a figure shrouded in mystery with ties to the Council and the Aurora Initiative. My mind raced with questions, with possibilities. Who was this Erebus Blackwood? What drove them to manipulate the Council, to engineer the downfall of humanity? I felt Lyra's hand close around my shoulder, her grip firm, reassuring. "We need to be careful, Ambrose," she whispered. "We don't know what we're dealing with." I nodded, my eyes never leaving the screen. "I know, Lyra, but we can't afford to wait. We need to expose Erebus Blackwood to bring them to justice." As I worked, the silence in the room grew thicker, heavier. My companions waited, their eyes fixed on me, their faces set with determination. We were a team, united in our quest for truth. The console beeped, signaling the decryption of a new file. I felt a surge of anticipation, my heart pounding in my chest. This was it, the moment of truth. The file opened, revealing a cryptic message, a single sentence that sent a chill down my spine. "Meet me on the planet of Tartarus, in the ruins of the ancient city. Come alone." I felt a presence behind me, turned to face Cale, his eyes blazing with a fierce intensity. "I'll come with you, Ambrose," he said, his voice low, deadly. I shook my head, my jaw set in determination. "No, Cale. This is something I need to do alone." Riven stepped forward, her face dark with concern. "Ambrose, we can't let you go alone. It's too dangerous." I smiled, a cold, calculating smile. "I appreciate your concern, Riven, but this is something I need to do. I'll be fine." The room fell silent, my companions' faces etched with worry. But I knew what I had to do. I had to confront Erebus Blackwood, to uncover the truth. As I turned to leave, Lyra's hand brushed against mine, a subtle gesture of solidarity. I felt a surge of gratitude, of love, and I knew that I would do whatever it took to protect her, to protect humanity. I walked out of the room into the unknown, my heart pounding in my chest, my determination burning brighter than ever.